David Sobel. I'm a real estate attorney here in Michigan. There are so many legal situations that can arise when selling a home. And here's but just a few of the more common issues that Michigan home sellers face. One of the problematic areas for home sellers concerns what a seller should disclose about a home's condition to a potential purchaser. If there are defects, the purchaser should know. And nearly every state in this country, including Michigan, has laws that require sellers to advise buyers of certain defects in the property, typically by filling out a standard home seller's disclosure form. And this form usually has to be completed before the sale is completed. In Michigan, the disclosure laws are actually more comprehensive than other states. And while sometimes there's a feature that isn't even listed on the home seller disclosure list, the seller may still be required to actually speak up about a problem. But a seller usually isn't required to seek out any problem or problems that they're not even aware of. But a seller is required to disclose issues when the seller knows about a problem area or has a reason to know. And now then a seller is going to have a duty to disclose. So misrepresentations or lies about a home's condition are really never acceptable. And if you have to ask if you should be disclosing something or you should not be disclosing something, you're really best to disclose. Another issue that home sellers in Michigan deal with concerns what we call the real estate agent as a procuring cause. Now, that's a pretty common issue these days, especially in a very active real estate market. Sometimes a home will be listed by an agent and there are showings to the potential buyers, but then a listing for that agent expires or the seller fires that agent and gets a new agent. So the former agent is entitled to a sales commission for those potential purchasers or those purchasers actually who close on a transaction and who had come through had seen the property, they've gone through the home with the former agent within 180 days on average from the closing. That can be a really big issue. So whether an agent is the procuring cause for a real estate transaction creates many disputes, and I see it actually really on a very regular basis these days. So the third issue for sellers that's very common concerns seller credits or money owed. And this creates a lot of disputes, especially when it involves an investment property. For instance, who does a past due rental payment belong to? When we're dealing with investment property, when a tenant is not paying the seller, but then the seller conveys the property to a new owner, does the past due payment, if it's ever paid by the tenant, who does that belong to? Does it belong to the seller or does it belong to the buyer when the tenant finally pays? So without a provision in a purchase agreement, to the contrary, late payments will belong to the new owner. That's the purchaser. So this situation can be avoided, if you have an attorney who can address those issues. Another issue, very common, is issues concerning tenant security deposits, and really that creates a lot of contention. So it's really important to have an attorney review and draft provisions in the purchase agreement that would address these issues. So I've just gone through 3 of the very common issues that home sellers in Michigan encounter. And there are so many other situations that arise when selling a home. But you're definitely welcome to give me a call if you have any comments, questions, or concerns. You can reach me at 888-789-1715. I'm David Sobel, and thanks for joining me.